Hello, everyone, and welcome back to One More for the Road, a podcast of video game reviews, retrospectives, and other things where it's also not video games, but that's okay. My name is Eric. Welcome back to the podcast. We have a bunch of people with me today. It's amazing, and we're going to talk about Arknights. Starting off with my guests, RayRei, welcome back.
Hello, yes, I have returned as the token British person. People may remember me from the extraordinarily painfully long Xenoblade 5-hour odd video, of which Eri has not had me back since, and I can't think why. Maybe some reasons. Yes, I'm a long-standing Arknights player, so hopefully I'll be the person bringing some knowledge and actuallying everyone and pissing them off.
That's good, because I have no knowledge.
I also have no knowledge. Speaking of having no knowledge, Zig,
hi.
Welcome back as well.
Thank you. You guys remember me from the very long, still ongoing Genshin series. #1 Scaramouche fan, but for here in Arknights, I'm the #1 Ebonholz fan. So, thank you for having
we do love the goat man.
We do love the goat man. I have no knowledge, but I've been playing since day one, so I have a very interesting perspective on this.
Yes, and the newest Arknights player to join us is Mr. Nick Advent. Nick, thank you so much for joining me this fine day.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Well, would you...
Whoa, do you need me to say words again? I'm so sorry. I'm bad at that.
Yes, it would be great.
Thank you for having me.
Some more words.
Yeah, I'm some guy that Eri found off the street and pulled in to record a podcast.
It's true. Do you stream on Twitch, don't you?
So I hear, yes.
Where can we find you on Twitch?
Twitch.tv/NickAdvent. If there's an underscore.
Doobly-doo.
Yeah, editor Eric.
Editor Eric, put the links in. Thanks, Editor Eric. Such a cool guy.
He's already suffering.
You're welcome.
He really is. All right. Before we get into Arknights, I do have one announcement and then one other thing. The announcement is the One More for the Road merch store is open starting today.
Today.
Yo, that sounds awesome.
Okay, today, like when the podcast goes up, not today. Like you can't go like right now.
Oh. Well, I was just about to go spend my tax return on One More for the Road.
I mean, you can, like, you can use the password, but true. like, anyway, today there's merch, and it's great. Thank you, Fourth Wall, for being the cool new merch store for One More for the Road and the Areopolis channel in general.
Can
it's
confirm
super cool.
It's really cool merch.
Yes.
Pretty sick, yeah.
All right, so, something that I try to make sure we start every single podcast with, but I'm very bad about it, is a top 3. And today's top 3 is a very cool one. Top 3 anime. I'm going to have Zig, you start.
Okay.
You're on the way on the left.
Okay. I had that feeling, when you're like in school and the teacher's like, who do I start with? And you're like looking across the table.
I also had that feeling.
Your desk and all the kids.
I rolled a die, but you couldn't hear it because my mic actually has really good, like, not picking things up it's not supposed to.
Okay, so I won the die thing. Okay, that's okay because I'm prepared. All right. Top 3. #1, Idolish 7. Y'all should,
of course,
everybody should give this a chance. It is not your basic idol anime. Give it a watch if you like drama and intense action. Surprisingly, yes, Idolish 7. Go check it out. #2, Skate the Infinity. Excellent in both dub and sub. Check them both out. They're both amazing. And then
the dub for that is actually amazing.
The dub is incredible. And then #3, Death Note. I'm a big
Really?
Yes. I actually have like an annual rewatch of that one. So I was like,
nice to see none of those anime.
See, I was
not seen Death Note.
See, I've only seen one of those.
Much like Evangelion, it's on the list of I will watch this one day because it's supposed to be great, but I just never got around to it.
See,
What was that other anime you just mentioned?
Evangelion, and
Okay.
is that not what it's called?
I'm pretty sure it's Evangelion.
Whatever.
Yes, thank you, Nick, for
Yeah, no
that
problem.
absolutely 100% correct
I would,
enunciation of Evangelion.
I would have pronounced it like
Speaking of correct pronunciations, Nick, your top three.
Okay, so in no particular order. Oh god. Probably K-On!, Violet
Hell
Evergarden,
yeah.
and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Oh my god.
Those are
not
good
seen
choices.
any of
I like
those.
that list.
I like that list
I'm
too.
a big fan. Violet Evergarden is a really good pick, actually. I really liked that anime.
Yeah, yeah. Me too.
I've heard
Clearly.
good things, but
RayRei.
Yes, I'm frantically opening my anime list as I've got so much to figure out what I actually
What are
like. So, well,
What are my top three rated
Yeah,
my
exactly.
anime list
dude, I
anime?
have hundreds of shows on here. I can't choose. Well, actually, I can choose my number one. My number one's always been the same. It's Kill la Kill. Kill la Kill is just like the most anime ever. It's just amazing. I love it.
It's
Oh god,
true.
it really is.
Yeah.
And then I think Black Lagoon's gonna be up there somewhere. That's one of my favorites.
It's a good pick.
And then a rom-com called Real Life, which not many people have seen, but I think it's like one of the best anime ever. I think it's awesome.
Is that like anything like ReZero?
Not really, no. Not at
Then
all.
why did they name it after it?
I think Real Life came first, but don't quote me on that.
No, I clearly heard of ReZero first, therefore it's the original. I'm sorry, that's just how it works.
Yep.
We don't make the rules.
Eric next to
I've heard good things about Real Life, but I've never watched it.
I think it's one of those that like hit me at a certain time of where you watch it at a certain point in your life and it just resonates with you, and it was just like the perfect anime for me as I was
Oh,
getting into
yeah.
anime.
I frequently talk about Trails in the Sky like that, where it wasn't. Trails in the Sky is not my favorite in that series, but it's the exact game I needed at that point.
Yeah. Sometimes they just hit right.
I'm gonna say my top three, and this is in no particular order. I actually am also going to say Death Note.
Yes.
Then Code Geass will be my number two.
I heard Evan Holt.
And yes, the Ebonholes anime. And then it's really weird because I've been thinking about this for like 3 days and I still haven't like decided on because there's like a lot that could fill the extra slot. I could say the Fate Stay Night 2006 anime. I could say Excel Saga. I could say, God, I almost want to say Evangelion.
Really
sorry,
pushing the
Evangelion.
boat out there with Code Geass, Death Note, and Eva as the top three anime. Who would have thought?
They're simply the best anime.
I'm gonna go with Ranma 1/2.
Oh, okay.
That's gonna be my number three.
Only anime boomers can relate.
And look, as your local anime boomer, yes, that was Ranma 1/2 was super hard to actually find DVDs for, and in the States, and I have a full collection. It took forever to get a full collection of DVDs for that series.
Very impressive.
Yeah, it was crazy. Anyway, that's our top three. Let's actually talk Arknights. Oh, you know what would have been a really smart idea if we all just said Arknights and that's how we started the podcast.
Don't you mean Arknights?
Oh yeah, Arknights. Oh man, hold on. That's what we hold on. Editor Eric, put that at the beginning. Thanks.
Oh no, I peaked my mic.
It's perfect. Perfect. That's even better.
It's supposed to do that actually.
Yes, it's that's the point. That's the point of the game.
Or
or the mic.
are we all saying it, or should I
Yeah,
say it?
go
and
ahead
then
and say
you're
it.
Arknights. I hate Phantom so much.
You hate Phantom? That doesn't track.
Arknights. He's
track
the
at all.
best. Ray, you have to say Arknights now.
Arknightsu. That's how Amiya says it, right?
God, you intolerable weeb. Anyway, Arknights is like a tower defense-ish game.
Except your towers can die.
That's how I described it to my hairdresser when she asked me what I was playing when I was waiting for my turn.
Talk about like video games and stuff with like
No!
regular people.
No, I was on my tablet waiting for my turn, and she looks over and she's like, "What are you playing over there?" I'm like, "Arknights," and she's like, "Arknights?" I said, "It's a tower defense game," and she's like, "Oh," and that was the end of the conversation. Because
Yeah,
you
that's-
see, because you see, if she knew what it was, then we could have really had a cool conversation, and then if she didn't, which she didn't, then we could end the conversation there, and I could be left alone. Which is what happened, and which is what I wanted.
Anyone would have actually heard of it. 'Cause, like, I feel like if I said it to anyone in the UK, they would just have no idea.
Yeah, I was banking on her not knowing, so I could be left alone, and it worked.
That's
so.
fair.
It's the ideal
See,
situation.
when I have a game up and like I'm playing something, someone's like, "Oh, what's that?" I just tell them it's balloons. Like regardless of what game I'm playing, because if they know what balloons is and it doesn't look like balloons, they realize I don't want to talk to them. But most people that don't know what balloons look like, they're like, "Oh, okay," and then they just leave me alone.
See, the difference is
So
that
it's
Zig,
always the end of the conversation.
the difference is that Zig is open to having a conversation.
Well, I
I'm
mean,
not. If I'm in the public, I do not want to talk to people
well,
that
if it's
I don't
going
know.
to have a
Understandable.
conversation about Arknights, I mean, that's going to be surprising enough as it is. And if it's, well, maybe you can be on my
That's
friends
fair.
list and you can visit my base and give me clues that I need. So,
You know what? Perfectly acceptable.
Yes.
That's fair.
yes, exactly.
Then again, I did have a very long conversation about Pokemon with some random dude at like the boba place last week, and it was very annoying, but it passed the time, so that was the important. Arknights.
Right, Arknights.
So Arknights is another gacha game, similar to Genshin Impact, where you roll for characters and you use those characters and you raise them up, and they're your towers in the tower defense, and then they all do different things, and it's very cool. Don't spend money on the gacha.
Yes.
Yeah, under no circumstances spend money on the gacha.
Yes, only let local streamers spend money for you. And then you can get the experience of that. You can watch that experience without having to spend the money.
Right. It's a
Exactly.
win-win.
Yes, it's do not be like us. Let's start actually with. I'm gonna put these in the opposite order. Let's start with our history with the game, and I'll go first. I started playing this almost a year ago, back in May of last year. And I've been enjoying my time with it so far. I have not listened to my previous advice that we just did, and I have spent money on this video game. But no, I really like it because there's like a lot of cool strategies. The waifus are cute. I don't know.
They have big puffy coats.
Game good.
I like the animation.
Oh my god, I love the aesthetic.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god, we got to talk about the aesthetic in a little bit. RayRei, how long have you been playing this game? I actually don't know.
I think I'm a day one player, but like it's been so long, 'cause it's a few years now, that I can't remember if I was like day one or week one or something like that. But I was a very early enjoyer, and I've been harping its praises pretty much since it came out. I still think it's the most well-rounded gacha out there in terms of what you put into it and what you get out of it. Because other gachas can be a bit punishing at times, but I think Arknights is just the best gacha.
Yeah. I think you're the one who got me into this game.
Yeah, I was the annoying guy in Twitch chat just saying, play this game, play this game, play this game, until you played the game.
Yeah, and now I've basically only played. This is like the only gacha I still play. It's great.
I seem to have a good track record with this and Trails, then I'm on a good win streak at the moment.
Yeah. Basically determined the entirety of my content for the back half of 2022. Zig.
Yeah, I was a day one player. I remember downloading this game with my best friend, and we played it pretty heavily for like a few months. And then I kind of got tired of it. Like early Zig had no brain cells, so I was an FGO player, so I just liked to put things down and smash through it. And if you know anything about Arknights, it's not one of those things that you can just kind of brute force. You do have to kind of use some brain cells to do some things. So I was like heavily relying on guides and stuff, and I just got really burnt out on it. And so I quit and just became like a daily login player. And I would log in, and then I'd do the dailies and do the various things to get the rewards, and then I just log out, and then I wouldn't do the game. And then I just recently picked it up again last month. So I I have all these characters, and man, I don't remember doing any of this stuff. But having logged in and stuff had given me a nice little kickstart. So I view the game a lot differently now. I really enjoy the puzzle aspect and the visuals and the story and everything. So just a month back in, and I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, this game definitely isn't like head empty. Well, I mean, if you're doing like maintenance stuff, you're just doing like your upkeep of like, all right, I gotta log in, burn down my sanity, reset my base. Like that's, you don't have to do anything. Yeah. But if you actually want to progress, you have to be like doing thought. It's very complicated.
I do understand the burnout as well for early players, because at the start of the game was like, the story was very heavy and quite hard to get through, and the gameplay was still like finding its feet. It's only really in the recent, like, I'd say 6 months that the game's really come into its own and has like shone above all the others and just been so much better.
It feels like a very different game now than it did then. So I'm enjoying the game it is now.
Yeah, I don't have any experience with the early parts, but I do know that like I've been enjoying very much the stuff that's been coming out lately. I can't really say much for the story past a certain point, but like the event stages have been very fun. Speaking of which, Nick, your experience, your history.
My first brush with Arknights was actually over a year ago. I downloaded it on BlueStacks, and I opened it up, and I like was playing through the tutorial stages, and the DP counting up gave me anxiety, so I closed it and never played it again. And then I re-downloaded it in November. And I've been playing since then, so I'm coming up on about 3.5 months now.
Nice.
And I have also spent more money on this game than I should, because I really dislike the progression system. I think it's a bit slow in general, for my taste at least.
Yeah.
You know what? That sounds like an amazing segue into the progression system. And start talking a little bit about that, and we'll get back to some of those earlier points in the notes. Don't worry, I know what we're doing.
we trust in you, Eric.
I've done a couple of these podcasts before.
I've heard you've done.
This is like what, episode 12, 11? That's a great question.
Good question.
I don't know. Anyway,
progression.
The progression system. So you get units in this game, and you have to obviously level them up to make their stats. But individually, like unlike a lot of other gacha games, getting a unit leveled is extremely it's a heavy investment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The main currency in this game, LMD, is
it exists.
It exists, and it's extremely limiting. Raising like a 6-star character, which is the highest tier of character, costs. What does the top cost from like level 1, like E0, like level 1 to like E230? What would you think?
It's about 500,000 LMD. Is
I was gonna say it's about like 360 to get them from E11 to E180. So
yeah, and then it's like 180. So like getting a 6-star up and running.
Yeah.
It's probably like, around what an event shop gives you for one. I would guess.
It's probably more than that.
The event shops give you very little LMD, actually.
They give you about 600,000 for a first run event.
I think
Yeah.
it's less than that, but sure, yeah, maybe.
I think it's like 300k to 600k is the range.
Depends on the event, because some are
the
like week long,
last-
That's
some
true.
are like 3 weeks.
That's true.
Yeah. Like the most recent event, I think, was 600k. It might have even been 700. It was a lot. It was a lot of LMD. I used a lot.
I don't know.
It's
I
scaled up in
used it.
recent times.
I used it the
Yeah.
instant I got it, so I have no perception of how much
That's super fair. But yeah, like it's something actually really interesting in this game is raising high rarity characters is exponentially, I would say, more cost prohibitive than raising their lower rarity characters. And I think it only really expects you to have a few of them raised, especially initially.
It's the same
And,
in
you,
other
and
games,
it
though,
wants
isn't it?
you. Yeah, I feel like it just wants you to focus on your lower rarity characters, which some people do. I'm guilty about not being very good about that.
There's
The
lots of
nice-
incentives to raising your lower rarity characters beyond just the cost as well. Like, there's battle improvements because they're lower DP costs to actually use, and there's other game modes which actually incentivize having lower cost units. So I think the game encourages you to try and use a mixture of units rather than just, here's these 5 OP units and I'm going to raise and slam every map.
Which is a good
That's
thing.
what I
by
love
the way.
doing.
In my
Everyone does
opinion,
it
that's
anyway.
a good thing. Yeah, everyone
Yeah.
does it
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah,
Look,
it's a unique
I'm
thing.
head empty. Head empty, only little apple.
Oh god.
But yeah, so like, I guess I think I think it's just a really interesting thing because, you know, the gacha, I see this is the segue into talking about gacha, is it almost feels like it's punishing you just a little bit for rolling too many high rarity characters at a time. Because there's no way you can actually raise them.
Is there some EX gacha luck like problems that us poor peasants can't understand who never
That's
get
whale
anything new?
problems.
It's like it's more like whale problems, like, you know, like I'm by no means an actual like whale, but like it's one. It almost disincentivizes you from spending too much money.
Yeah, I was about to say probably a better way to frame it is it doesn't reward you as much as some other game might for spending more money on the game in that sense.
Yeah, like FGO, it's pretty trivial to get a character at least in a functional state.
Yeah, for
Even a
sure.
5-star. Genshin's like a little bit more involved, I would say. Where, especially if it's a character that requires a mat that comes out with that character.
Really depends on
Thank
what
you,
define as
Scarab
a
Beetles.
functional
Listen.
state. Like, you can get like Gravel, whose like functional state is like E1 level 1, and that costs like almost nothing. Whereas some of the like top tier units in the game that you were alluding to earlier, the 6 stars, if you need masteries and modules, then the functional state might be absurdly high. So it really depends
Yeah.
on a character by
For
character
example,
basis.
like Thorns is a completely different Unity too, for example.
For sure.
Or like Chen Alter or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's oh, go on.
I don't know, it's coming from Genshin. It like because I'm pushing right now through Genshin trying to get all my characters like maxed, and like I thought that was a chore, and then I came to Arknights, and my perspective has really changed on how hard it is to level it, and Genshin specifically, but other gacha units as compared to. I feel like they like to incentivize you to spend money on OP to level your units, as opposed to like there isn't such a push like, oh, get these new units. It's here, spend the money so you can get your units up and running, you filthy whales.
Yeah, well, I mean, they also give you, like, they have those chip packs
Yeah.
and stuff like that, where
Yeah.
they're like, hey, here's, like, a pack, and it's got 200,000 LMD, and it's got, all these things that you need to farm for this shiny new unit we're giving you. Would you like to spend just a little bit more money? And it's only $3.
Yeah, they price
and
it
that's
just
like,
right.
Yeah, exactly.
And I hate the fact that they're like, like, to a gacha-addled addict such as myself, I'm like, I am more than willing to spend $3 on that. Do not spend money on gacha.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Don't. Don't.
It's a
just
game that
don't.
rewards patience, really. But if you're a new player,
yeah,
you
that's
just don't have
true.
the time. That
Yeah, I
experience
have
Laser
3
had.
years to make up on.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
It's like I have all these
like,
units that like I can't do anything with.
It's and yeah, like what RayRei said, it's a game that definitely rewards patience. It doesn't. It's not like other ones where it rewards you and gives you immediate gratification. It's like, all right, you have the thing, work towards building the thing. And I think that design philosophy is shown really well in Masteries, where it's like, all right, you have to get a ton of really high rarity materials and also physically wait for your training time. Like you put a unit into your base, which we'll talk about base in a few minutes, and like you have to sit them and they go into the training room and they just cook for like up to 24 hours. And that's, and I really appreciate that design philosophy of like you're incentivized to slowly build the account and slowly build up to the point where you can get to the level of having a bunch of OP units, but it takes a lot of specified dedicated grinding to get to that point, and it takes time is always the biggest currency in this game.
Yeah, and
I
I
agree.
feel like that's a good thing, except for when you're starting out, because if you're just taking time off to raise units just gradually over time, then you're not able to do any of the content when you start out, which is annoying.
Yeah, I think that was one of the
I
reasons that
agree.
that was kind of one of the things that kind of drove me off to quit for a while too. Was like some of the content was just, I was like trying to get through the story, and I like kept getting blocked, and then I like tried to raise my units, but I couldn't because I was getting blocked, and it was just like, I was in a really weird spot with my account. So it's like,
Oh yeah.
I'm glad I'm out of it. But yeah, for a brand new player, everything's kind of, if you don't know what you're doing, it gets a little overwhelming.
Yeah, once you get your feet under you, it becomes way more doable, I would say.
Yeah, and like I 100% agree. I think like for the first couple months I was kind of like, this is fine, and then like once I got my account together and I really got my roster more built up, I'm like, okay, this is actually really fun. But it took me a long time to get to that point.
It's actually, like, if I can talk about gameplay for a little bit, is that why I feel like Arknights is going to have such a strong foundation going forward, in that it has difficult content that you can aim towards. Like, the slow build-up of units is essentially so that you can grow a stronger account to do the harder game modes, to get further in the story. And the story is actually very hard in the later chapters. Like, it's not something you can just coast through. Like, you look at Genshin and you can run through the story with a level 20 cheat sheet, just smacking things with a sword, and you'll get there eventually. There's no difficulty to it. And personally, from my personal experience, is that Genshin somewhat I've got a bit bored of now, because I have all these characters that I'm slowly progressing, or I have finished progressing, and to what end? Like, apart from 36-starring the Abyss, where I pretty much can do that with the units I have now, there is no motivation for me to continue raising units. And then FGO as well is where I've got all my units to a point where the game is not difficult enough for me to not be able to do anything. I could never raise another unit as far as I needed in FGO, and it wouldn't be a problem, and pretty much why I quit the game, essentially. Whereas Arknights is continuously, because the operators have such good niches, and they design them in such a way that there's always a unit that's going to be really nice for this specific use. You just feel like the continuous account progression actually gets you somewhere in the long run, and there's difficult content designed for these endgame accounts, which is just really fun.
Yeah, I agree. That is a very good aspect of the gameplay.
Like, I think it's just a different design philosophy as well. Like, Genshin is very much like a mass appeal type game where it doesn't want to be too difficult at any point. But, like, for people who are, like, hyper dedicated like we were, it does get to the point where it's like, all right, every couple of weeks, tackle Abyss with high level characters. Like, I never did that because I was much more casual than I think both you and Zig. But like,
I don't think I even ever got to floor 12.
like I got to floor 12, I 35 starred Abyss. That was the furthest I've gotten so far.
Yeah, Genshin kind of makes itself. I know we've talked about this. It's a very casual friendly. So it wants people just to be able to jump right in and be comfortable. And as someone who does have a lot of strong units and stuff, yeah, I guess I don't know. I have fun just bullying everything on the overworld. So and then when I get a new character, I have to build it because it just gets bullied back.
Yeah.
So there is still that
Yeah.
incentive to at least build it to like 70 or 80. But Arknights is a very, I feel like it's pretty good for the casual, but in a very different way. I feel like RayRei said, it's more of a, we'll reward you for playing the game and staying here and playing the game and doing just the little things around. It's not a hop right in and go right at it kind of game, at least in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
I usually like that the difficulty in the story specifically scales, because I think it gives some sense of, like, how am I even going to put it? Like, sense of scale. Like, when you fight these big bosses in the Arknight story, you feel like, oh my god, this is like a wall, this is a boss, this is someone in the story who is powerful and strong. And you just, like, go into other games and you're just, like, slapping them round. It's like, well, I don't feel like this is really anything anymore. It kind of, like, dilutes the actual enjoyment of the story, at least for myself.
Yeah, well, I think actually, and this is a great segue into like the gameplay aspect, because it's like a grid-based tower defense, like we've said, and like your individual gacha characters are like your towers, and they have like duties where like they sit there and they guard a lane, or they have snipers, or you have medics, or you have casters, and like the enemies like pile through and you're just tearing through all these enemies because they don't have a ton of HP like normal monsters. Like normal enemies don't have a lot of HP, but then you get these bosses and they do have kind of a sense of scale to them, like a sense of like gravitas to them, where they have their own health bar, like special underneath them. They have mechanics that affect massive parts of the field. I think in chapter 4, you have Frost Nova, who can block off and instantly KO anyone who's on squares that she covers in her black ice. Mm-hmm. And no other, and having those unique mechanics to those boss fights is really interesting, and it's very stressful sometimes.
Yeah.
But like I really do like the gameplay because it rewards you for having a game plan and being able to react quickly to changing situations on the field. It's very tactics based, and I really appreciate that.
I think it's really well designed, because very few times you feel in Arknights like what the boss is doing is cheap, like there's no solution to this. There's always like a solution, and it's about how creative you can be in finding the solution, where other games will do difficulty by just making the boss do some really obnoxious one shot or some really silly mechanic that doesn't really feel like it has a solution other than, I don't know, brute force or something.
Getting lucky
Yeah.
Get lucky with the RNG, and then hope to God you have the numbers for it.
As someone who gets really easily frustrated by like gimmicks like that, RayRei, I have to agree, because like I've definitely felt frustrated in Arknights, but it's never been, oh, it's because the game is making a stupid mechanic. It's because I can't figure out what the mechanic wants me to do.
Yeah.
It's always on me, and then I like either look it up to figure it out, or I watch one of my friends like play through it and see what they're doing. Like, oh, so that's what I like need to do.
Yeah, you do get the sense like, oh my
It's-
god, I'm so silly. That seems like such an easy solution a lot of the time, and then it's like you learn for next time, don't you? And it's just really an enjoyable gameplay loop in that sense.
Yeah,
and
it's one of those. Go ahead.
Oh, it's something that really rewards engaging with the mechanics in ways
Yeah,
that other
definitely.
games like FGO just don't.
Yeah, like because FGO, like a mechanic, one of the mechanics for FGO, like one of the most recent story chapters that's out on NA, is just, oh, these enemies take 10% less damage and they do more damage.
That's not
Cool.
It's not an interesting mechanic. It's just, hey, have you considered hitting harder?
Yeah.
Have you
Yeah,
considered
it's
taking
like-
Double Castoria and Spishtar and looping every single node in the game for the rest of eternity, and it will always work? Oh, great, wonderful.
I
Right.
literally did all of 5.5 by gong looping.
Exactly, yeah, that's just silly. I just think that's completely ridiculous.
Every node, every boss, every regular node is just that's all you need to do. Why would you do anything other than that?
Oh no,
It's
the
the
whales
best
are
thing.
the whales are clearing faster. Add a few more break bars.
Oh no.
Have you considered having 19 break bars?
God, right. But like in Arknights, you have let's go with the Ideal City event boss, right? It was a drone boss, like a flying enemy. And like that's the first time I've ever seen a drone boss. And it was terrifying.
Yep. And it's not
'Cause
one
it's
of those
like-
that, like, a lot of the Arknights boils down to, if people do know, is just Certerit, which is like, oh, this is a really powerful unit that's really strong and can do a lot of things on a lot of maps, but there are
And
things
she
she
doesn't
can't
hit
do.
drones.
And she doesn't hit drones, exactly,
Yep.
yeah. So it
As
rewards
Aaron
someone
learned
for having
yesterday.
raised a variety
did
of
learn
units
that
to deal with the
yesterday.
situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up using a Mia S3 for that, which is just whatever works. But like then, like, but that's the better thing. Like, okay, so that you kill the drone, and then the dude who's in the drone falls out of the drone. And you have to kill him too, and he's a whole
can't
other
block
boss
him.
with other mechanics.
Yeah, and then once I figured out that fight, because it took me forever, like I couldn't do it. So I watched RayRei do it, and then once I saw him do it, I'm like, oh, so I can do this. And then once
I watched Nick do it.
yeah, and then once we figured out how to,
it for 4 hours.
Yeah,
We made Nick
so
do
I
it.
only had to do like 3 tries.
your posy just took everything out, and you didn't even realize.
Oh my god, she's so good at everything.
Where
It
did the
was
drone
like-
go?
Like I could go from that point and choose different ways to beat it down. You know, it's
Yeah.
just like from there. But
I do find that a lot of the mechanics in this game do kind of boil down to, all right, the way to mitigate like dying to this boss is make sure you put down your operators in the correct order, because
It's a cool
targeting it's very yeah. I do feel like a lot of like damage mitigation mechanics kind of boil down to that, but like it's always in a different way, and I don't mind that so much.
There's just always optimizations you can make, putting down your opposite areas in a slightly different order, timing skills at slightly different times that can all make huge differences. It's just like really nice that way.
Yeah.
yeah, there
Yeah.
not just one solution, which is really nice. Like
Yeah, there's
I
a very
like
high
being,
skill cap.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
Sorry,
go on,
really
Sid.
like that. Oh no, that's just what I was saying. It's just
Okay.
really nice to be able to see someone do something and then like say, well, I think I have a unit that can do that too, but it's just a different unit, and you know, just mix things up in different ways. So like
Yeah.
you, me, and Ari all cleared it in different ways. So it's nice. I like it.
Speaking of which, let's talk about the events in the game, and then we'll finish up the gameplay section. I actually really kind of like the way they handle events. Most of them, they have like 8 to 10 normal stages that unlock first week, and that has like all the story, and you can just marathon it. There's no like time gates to get to the end of the story. Thank God.
Time gates are
Time
the
gates.
worst.
Time gates are the worst. Just let me do the story. And then they have the EX stages, and those are always my favorite part of the events. Which are basically just super hard stages. And then they have challenge missions, which are even harder versions.
I'm still
And I suck at them.
I'm still basic. I like the story, and then I'm like, oh gosh, challenge. My brain is not able to handle this. But
Yeah, I'm very bad at CMs.
oh, don't
I am too.
for two. Okay, yeah, but you guys finish them. I go in. I'm like,
Oh.
oh nope.
I
run.
don't always finish. I don't always finish this challenge modes. I've been good about making sure I hit all 8 EX stages per event, but I haven't finished all the challenge modes.
Yeah.
I don't
every
know.
event.
I don't know that I've finished all of the challenge modes in any of the events that I've played, except for this most recent like anthology one to be continued. And that
Oh,
was
yeah,
just like
that's
the
a-
regular stages had challenge modes. It wasn't EX stages.
Yeah.
I really liked this event, actually. It's like a little mini event. It's got like a little mini shop.
Yeah, it's a
And
nice little
It was
reprieve.
comfy.
Like, here, have a couple mats.
It was somewhat coincidental that you guys getting back into game the last 6 months. We did have a string of really difficult challenge mode events like back to back over the last like 3 months or so. So it's the what we had this event with to be continued is a bit closer to like the average norm for like how difficult events are, I would say.
Okay.
Oh yeah, because we had like Solterra Navis into Ideal City, and then like
Solterra's one of the hardest ones
Undertides
that we ever had.
rerun.
Yeah, and there was Undertides rerun in there too.
Lingering
Yeah.
echoes. Don't
Oh,
forget the
man.
event that got me back into the game.
Oh yeah, because Ivan holes.
Yes.
Is there anything else we want to talk about gameplay wise? We have a note that says Myrtle's simply the worst. But I don't know who put that there.
Who do
Was
you
not
think
me.
put that there?
I don't know.
Someone
it could
who
be
doesn't
either
like
you or
little
RayRei.
apples.
It was me.
All right, explain yourself.
Everyone tells you to use Myrtle for everything, and it's annoying.
Just yes, she's the best villain card.
This is blatant Cantabile erasure.
Like,
I mean,
okay.
actually, Cantabile is definitely in contender now. She's been released.
Oh,
with
yeah,
Best
she
Vanguard,
is.
for sure.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, but I guess coming
But
up to
Little
that
Apple.
point...
Yeah,
Myrtle-
the
but
thing that... Oh, go on.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, the thing that Myrtle has over her is the investment to make her usable, or to make her best Vanguard is way lower, because she's a 4-star.
Yeah.
I mean, I would argue that it's actually a little higher because Cantabile works without masteries. Myrtle, you really want her masteries for her S2,
I don't have any
which is a
E2 Myrtle.
significantly.
Well, let me tell you even more. Myrtle doesn't really work as well as you guys think she does unless you have Bagpipe. She's specifically good in that combo because it means she can use her skill the moment
That's
she
true.
hits the field, which I'm not sure you guys have Bagpipe, so it's a bit different.
I have
have
an
bagpipe.
E1 bagpipe, so no.
Yeah, it's specifically
I do not.
Flagpipe where
Yeah.
Myrtle's really strong, whereas in generic content, like Texas or Cantabile are probably a little bit stronger if you're not using with Bagpipe.
Bagpipe will not
Yeah.
leave me alone.
I joined when I started playing Arknights. A lot of people in my chat were telling me specifically to focus E2 Myrtle
Yes.
as my first E2, which was in hindsight definitely incorrect.
Oh yeah, who's our first E2s?
Surtur.
It's
Oh yeah, that's a great question. Who was your E2 first E2 Zig?
Courier. He's my boy.
Of course.
He.
Yeah, that tracks.
I really like Courier, and I don't know. Everybody shits on him, but he's usually
It's
my
because
go-to
he can't kill
Vanguard.
anything.
Well, like
It's
I don't
true.
need him
Which
to kill
is not the
things.
point of him. I understand
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
He's not supposed to kill anything.
Yeah, and
He's supposed
he
to
also-
sit there and block things
Yeah,
until
so
other people kill them.
He does the job really well, and oftentimes I'm bringing him because I just didn't build my Myrtle because I favor husbands. So I built Courier, and like Myrtle's not the whole way up. So he was my first. Even though I would have liked it to be Sessa, I could not get the mats. So Courier. it was.
That's fair. RayRei.
That is a good question. I started with Siege, so I think it's probably her. I am a Siege enjoyer, but
Yes.
it's either her or Hoshiguma, because I started really early where there wasn't that many ops in the game, and I really don't remember who my first E2 was, but it was probably one of those two.
Makes enough sense. Mine was Myrtle, as I just said, which was a mistake. I realize in hindsight, but it's fine.
A lot of people recommend
my most
it just 'cause
recent.
it's cheap and you can use E2 for support that way. I think that's why a lot of people
Yeah,
recommend it.
because
That's
you'll
fair.
be using a Vanguard a lot, and Myrtle is.
Who was your most recent?
Oh,
Who was your most recent E2 Zig?
that's a good question.
I ask good questions.
I actually have to think about this if somebody else remembers
All
theirs.
right, RayRei. Who's your most recent?
Oh god, it was Ark actually. I've got to the point of raising all the main units, so I can keep him, and I'm emptying him right now.
Don't ask me yet. I'm booting up the game.
Yeah, I'm booting up my
All right.
game too.
Okay. While Nick is booting up the game, I will ask you your first one as well. My most recent was actually Fiametta.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, Fiometta's great.
I specifically have not mentioned that I got Fiametta because you were complaining about it, and she just kind of showed up on my free, like my like one.
You're like free 5 star.
Guaranteed 5-star.
Yeah, she was my guaranteed 5-star.
I don't get a salty in Arknights gacha because I'll get her eventually. It's just one of those.
That's fair.
Well, we're not talking about the gacha
I was
too
just
much.
like,
It's basically
I don't
really
want
nice
to
to get an
talk.
individual character, and she just dodged me a lot.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't want to say who I'm working on because I don't want her very mad at me.
As long as they don't just randomly move Texas's banner forward, I don't mind not having any like resources to summon. If she suddenly appears next week, I'm going to be very annoyed.
Oh, can we talk about the schedule?
Yeah, as soon as I'll answer the question. I think my latest
okay.
E2 was Silver Ash. That
Yeah.
was-
Really, swing, good choice.
yeah,
It's pretty
very-
good.
Swing.
From what I've heard,
he was
fairly
my
recent.
first 6-star. So
I used him in some event stage. No, it was an Annihilation simulation.
Mm-hmm.
He does have the swing.
He carries the first one, yeah.
Oh yeah. Nick.
Okay, so my first E2 was Surtur.
Understandable.
And she's pretty strong carry.
Yeah.
She's okay, I guess. And my most recent was Blue Poison.
Hell.
Oh, I
yeah.
love Blue Poison.
She's great.
I'm actually really annoyed because I forgot that her costume was in the CC shop, and I've spent all of my CC currency.
Oh no! Wait, have you done all of the rotating ones?
No, I'm gonna see if I can get the coins out of those, but I've done like a lot of them.
Okay.
As someone with the costume, blue original outfit, blue frog, blue poison is best blue poison.
I really like the sprite for
Not
the
even-
original.
I prefer the
hood.
costume.
I agree.
I have her on the costume.
I
Yeah.
really like the costume, but I really like the hood. I'm a hood fiend.
The hood is very tier 1,
They're
one of those
both
that-
which is an
very good.
amazing
If the costume,
segue.
Okay, go on.
No, it's an amazing segue into aesthetics and characters. Yeah, you thought I forgot about the aesthetics point. You even deleted it. I don't know who did it.
No, I moved it down to story because it was kind of relevant to story, so I moved it. But it's still
All
there.
right, that's fair. We'll talk. Oh, I see it now.
Yes.
This is fun. I'm having a good time.
I didn't mean to interrupt you from the schedule, though. Is that what you wanted to discuss next?
Oh, schedule. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk about schedule, then we'll talk about the characters.
Yes.
But yeah, like, so with other gacha games, we are on the global server, but there's the original server. In this case, it's the Chinese server. And they're about, 6 to 8 months ahead of us?
6 months.
Yeah, I want to say about 6.
6 months? Yeah, and so a lot of gacha games, FGO specifically, they have what's called the clairvoyance, and so we know what's coming up roughly. And I know there's lots of people who are avoiding spoilers, which I don't think we've talked about any spoilers so far that are coming up.
Just
but
the one
like,
There's been a
I
couple.
mentioned.
Yeah.
yeah, and I want to try to avoid talking about that because I do know there are people who are doing so. But like we know roughly, but we also know that the schedule is messed up. Like they've been doing things out of order, so to speak. And there are units that we were supposed to have for the previous contingency contract event that we didn't.
And also modules,
I-
most importantly.
Oh yeah, and
Is
modules
it the
that we were not
modules
that
that
we
we're
didn't
missing?
have.
I
There's
want
a
to say some
lot.
sniper modules was a big
Yeah,
one.
that's
It's
what I
all-
meant,
yeah, it's all
the sniper
marksman
anti-
stuff.
Yeah. That's what. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
did I mishear you?
I'll
Sorry.
mark this. No. I'm going to mark this section as spoilers, but so we can talk about it in this section. But I want to make sure we quarantine it as much as possible. So if you're avoiding spoilers, there will be a timestamp in the doobly doo. Look at it.
Yes.
So yeah, so we were supposed to get a bunch of sniper modules from the marksman classes,
Yeah,
and
the-
also Dorothy,
Yeah.
who was very important, I guess, to the original high risk clears of CC10.
That I do not know.
Yeah, I've no idea.
I don't know. I know that local Arknights streamer Zai was very upset. That's all I know.
Isn't
Oh, yeah,
And
it's
Dorothy
apparently she
a
was
rabbit?
very important. Huh?
Isn't Dorothy a rabbit?
I have no idea.
Dorothy
is,
I thought she was a bird.
gerboa, I think.
I have no idea.
She's not
All
a
I
bird,
know. Oh, maybe she was mad about the modules.
she was mad about
I,
the modules.
Probably.
Pretty sure.
I don't know. All I know is that Dorothy is a character in Trails in the Sky. I don't know anything else about this character.
Personally, I don't really mind the schedule being changed because I never really like the FGO clairvoyance is nice because the gacha's so miserable. Whereas Arknights,
Yeah.
I feel like I have a pretty decent chance of getting any unit that just shows up. So like, what's the point in clairvoyance? It's just like, sure, you might hear some units you want to save for, but because limited
Yeah.
units, you always get loads of free resources each time, and you get a decent
Yeah.
chance of getting them anyway. It's just like whatever, take what it comes.
And the main thing
I'm
is
kind of that same opinion. Go ahead, Nick.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
the main thing is the limited banners, right? Because
Yeah.
most of the operators go into the permanent pool, and then they get like rotating standard banner rate ups on top of that, and eventually they'll be available to just buy outright from the Yellow Search
Yeah.
shop. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not anywhere near as important as FGO, for example.
Yeah, where if you know, want a specific limited character, like, and they get like one banner in the next 2 years, you're like, all right, I gotta drop $500 on this banner, I guess.
Yeah.
God,
Do any of us even play FGO anymore?
I do,
No.
but I don't
Okay.
plan on spending money on it again
Super casual.
anytime soon.
I log in like once a month.
I last logged in the mid-January.
Yeah, I can check for you. I think it was like 45 days ago, something like that.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, I guess that's like my only gripe is like the limited banner, and it's not really a gripe. It's just it's very startling to me for like how different Arknights limited banners are in compared to other gachas limited banners. Like so.
Oh yeah.
Coming from traditional gachas into there, it's weird. So it is nice to kind of have that foresight to know when they're coming. 'Cause it's like,
Yeah.
okay, now I know what to save.
I do think we're due to get a change for how the limited banners work in Arknights, because the way they work is each like limited unit is part of a larger series of units. So for example, Chen Alta's a summer unit and she'll be in the same pool as Gabrielle Alta, who's also a summer unit. So then when the next summer unit rolls around, they'll be in the background of the pool. So like not all limited units come back on every banner, but we've got the point now where it's been 2 years, so they're not fitting every character into the background. So I think they're gonna have to make some changes, but I don't really know what they'll do.
Yeah, it's
Well, like with this upcoming one, they have W is technically in the banner, but like she's not on raid up. She's
Yeah.
just in the pool, and that's really annoying.
I think they'll do
And I hope
something to
it's not.
change that though, where they'll either have more limited banners with old limited characters, because I don't think they're going to keep pushing these like 3-year-old limited characters into the background where no one can get them, because it's just like a moneymaker that's just sitting there that they could just rerun these banners at some point.
Yeah. They could even do like selector tickets. I feel like selector
too,
tickets
I think that would
are-
be nice for old units that have been out for like 2 years or
Yeah.
something.
Because like and again, do not spend money on gacha,
Yes,
but
please.
like I am much more willing to drop like 25 bucks on saying I can get this character than I am on dropping money for gacha currency.
Costume currency that
definitely
you can also
agree.
use for gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And one of the things, like, there's some other gotcha game, or okay, I put gotcha game in big quotation marks. There's some gotcha game that came out recently where they just sell the characters. There is no gotcha. It's just a character comes out, drop $25, and you get the character and some other stuff.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
That's
Yeah, I saw them
awesome.
talk about it in another.
I don't know. That's kind of horrifying.
Like,
Because it gates out F2P, right?
I
Yeah,
think-
It does
just
do
buy every
that.
character outright. Like, wow, that seems.
yeah, I feel like that should be like
Mixed
a
feelings.
limited character thing, you know? Like maybe you have like your free pool or where you get currency through playing the game, and then you can put, and then like you have limited characters that you can like buy outright. I think maybe that would be the good way to go through it.
Like I don't mind spending money on video games. Like I really don't. I just let me spend a fixed amount of money as opposed to a potentially snowballing amount of money. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it restricted to only several times a year, though, rather than every single character. Because like every single character is just like incentivizing, just drop 25 quid or whatever it is every 2 weeks to get the new character. Whereas like limited is like, I wanted this character when they came around, my luck wasn't great, but now I can get them like 3 times a year or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see how like a game like that survives. Because
Yeah,
like,
I'm also interested.
the biggest you look at the big, you know, kahunas and the field, like Genshin and FGO and stuff, and
Fortnite.
Fortnite. I don't like the loop in FGO because they don't put their money to good use.
No.
But Genshin, like, and some of these other, you see where the money goes. The game is evolving as you go. So like a game,
You see where the
like-
money goes in Fortnite too.
I'm not gonna play Fortnite with you, Eric.
Look, I have said more than once, if they do there are like 3 or 4 collabs Fortnite could do, and I would immediately start playing Fortnite.
I mean,
Like
Project
completely
I want to know these
unironically. It would be like a Hatsune Miku collab.
Yeah.
Or honestly a Fate collab would be cool. Like any of the games that I actively play.
Fake
Like,
collabs
I
with
would-
no one.
I know that's the
So
problem.
sad.
Look, I know. Like, man, an Arknights collab?
Don't drag
Fortnite?
Dude,
Oh,
imagine.
mud like
Do you,
that.
do you ever want to play with Amiya Fortnite?
Yes. Oh my god, are you kidding? That'd be amazing. I'd be so into that. Anyway, this is my 18th time on the podcast talking about how much I want to play Fortnite. Just give me a good collab, I swear to God. What company makes that?
Don't ask me.
Epic?
That's a very good question.
Epic Games make
that seems
collabs I
right.
want. I will give you my money.
Area with the
Anyway.
simultaneous boomer and zoomer opinions.
I know, right?
You don't already give them your money?
I'm recording. Anyway, so anyway, collabs. Or no, not collabs, characters.
Yes.
And I'm going to talk about aesthetics at this point
yes.
as well.
Yeah, that's fair.
Let's start with aesthetics. I love the way this game looks.
Oh,
Straight
yeah.
I
fire.
absolutely love the way this game
It's
looks.
very good.
Incredible character designs, incredible like setting, incredible. Just like the art that comes out from like the backgrounds and the still screens and the story chapters and the event story chapters are just incredible. They're like background computer
just get really cool
immediately on my
CGs.
background. Yeah. Yeah.
I could not tell you how many times I've just stopped reading story to take a screenshot of the CG.
Yeah.
I've been doing that a lot lately myself. It's
That
kind of
looks so
bonkers.
good. It looks so good.
Yes. I'm just a big fan of the aesthetic. Amiya is like the main character, other than you, I guess, is like one of my favorite designs because like I just really love the big coat, like with like straps and belts and all that other stuff. It's just
What's everyone's thoughts
get
on
excited.
What's everyone's thoughts on the chibi? Because I know there's a lot of like divide in the like gacha world about what they think about Arknights chibis because it's so different from like the actual art from the like CGs and stuff.
I don't have a
I
problem with it.
like them.
I like it. I feel like I've seen it in a couple other games. I was never like really chibi like this, but I really like it now. So
Yeah, before
Azure
I
Lane
started,
does that.
is it Azure Lane? Okay.
Yeah.
I actually really
before I
like it.
started, it was like a huge obstacle to me wanting to play this game, actually. But now I actually quite like them.
I think they're just
I
really
think-
good in terms of like they translate the gameplay quite well because they're just making much more clear what's going on the maps because you can have loads of effects going off in this game at this point. And the chibi is just really good for that.
Yeah, it does add a lot to the readability of a map when you have a lot of units deployed.
Yeah.
But you can
'cause, like,
you can separate the like art style for like the story and like the event pages and the CGs from the gameplay. Like it doesn't have to look as because obviously if you had the same kind of like detailed designs in the gameplay, it'd be a total mess. So I never really understand the complaints that people have where you're using chibis in battle.
Yeah, I've not heard any of those myself, but I also know that if people have bad opinions, I basically already don't listen to them. So there's that. Okay, let's real quick go around and talk about our favorite characters because I don't really have like a specific way I wanted to talk about this, but like so Zig,
Yes.
who's your favorite husbando and why is it Ivanhoe's?
It's definitely Ivanhoe's. For some reason, it just clicked with me, and that he's got what got me back into the game. Like, I think it was Ronnie who showed me his character design, and she was like, "Hey, Zig, check out this man," and I'm like, I am going all in on this German goat man. And he's got a really good story and really good design, and he's incredibly fun. Goat bombs. You just
I do love the goat
you
bombs.
just goat bomb everything. So he was my first like all in. He's level 90 E2 M12. As we
Fully maxed out.
fully maxed out, as we have now dubbed the module and skills masteries. So yeah, it's definitely Ivanhoe's. So yeah, big fan.
Absolutely. RayRei, who is your favorite character, like design wise or just in general?
Design wise, I'd probably say W. I think W's got the coolest design.
God, I love
That's
W.
fair. W is great.
Yeah. Gameplay I like Fartooth just because
Whoa.
he shoots things from far away and it's really exciting. And then I
Yeah,
think
Fartooth.
overall character is for sure Hoshiguma. Like, she's just cool. She has great story. She's got really cool design. Like, her gameplay's simple, but it's fun enough. I think she's a really awesome character.
Hoshi is great.
Yeah, I always kind of liked her, but like the anime won me over on her. Even though we don't see her that much, she just looks so cool in the anime.
Yeah,
Oh,
she gets
she
a
looks
lot
amazing in the anime.
more focus
yeah.
as the story goes on as well. Whenever like the Lungmen and stuff goes on, she just plays a really cool role in the story. It's been like a foil to Chen, and like the whole sequence in I think it's chapter 7 or 6 or something is just really cool.
Oh yeah. That at the beginning of chapter 7, I think, where
Yeah.
they're like kind of confronting each other.
Yeah, when Chen's going to leave to chase after reunion.
Yeah. Zig, I think I only asked about Ivanhoe's. Do you have any
Yeah.
other characters that you really like? I apologize.
No, you're
I'm
No,
a bad
This is
podcast
me
host.
just choosing
you are-
3.
you're very
Just
aware of my taste.
Yes.
Pretty much any of the guys. I really like Silver Ash. I re-rolled my account for Silver Ash, which was, if you know anything about re-rolling in this game, it's absolute torture.
Oh yeah. Well, you get your tutorial role. It's a while in,
Yeah, it is.
and so I just did not bother.
Yeah, it took me a hot minute. I really like Thorns in terms of gameplay. I like once you get him going on his skill 3, he just keeps on swinging. And Posey, I'm a big Posey fan. I was not a big Posey fan when she came out, but I'm big fan. And I'm just Surtur's waifu just for aesthetics. But
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Murder
It's not
waifu.
like she has anything else, but
I haven't met her in story,
Yeah.
so I would have no
She
idea.
has one little random side story.
yeah. I haven't read
Nothing else.
it. She has
I
her
haven't
operator
either.
profile.
Oh yeah, there's
Better
that
voice
too.
line.
That's like a whole paragraph of text. Wow. Nick.
Probably Neural.
Oh, I love
I love
Neural.
Neural.
That's cool.
Neural's great. I'm
Neural
like
good.
a huge sucker for like paladin types.
Yeah.
She's just great. Every time she showed up in the story, I'm like, oh my god, thank goodness she's here.
Oh my god, it's Neural.
She did have the coolest like moment in an event where she just have you guys played that event? It's been rerun yet, where she just like drops in from the ceiling during that.
Which event?
I think it must be Near Light or the second one for
Yeah,
it.
I haven't played Near Light. I've played most of Maria Neural, but she has not showed up. I don't know if she does show up in that event at all.
I
assume she
I
doesn't.
don't know.
It's the
I have
first
not played
one, I think,
either.
the first Near Light event where basically Maria's going through the tournament and then she just shows up at the end in the most badass moment ever.
Oh, okay, so that is Maria. Thanks.
All right, yeah, so that's at the end of that event. Nifty. Yeah, I haven't read that event. Actually, Near Light was the event that was running when I first started playing this game, but I didn't touch it because I didn't know what it was. But I did get Neural off the gacha, which was really nice.
Yeah.
I would say like my favorite character is probably dude, I really like W. W's
cool.
really good.
W
Whoa.
is
Whoa.
Whoa. I think we've talked about basically all my like Cruz. No, we haven't talked
No,
about
we haven't
Cruz.
talked about
Cruz.
Cruz.
Cruz is my favorite. I love Cruz the Keen Glint, or Cruz Alter, as she's sometimes referred to as, because her English voice is incredible. When you add her to the team, she just shows up. She's like, I'm here to slack off. And that's just hilarious every single time.
I do appreciate Cruz. I like her a low rarity variant because she's not a 3-star. She's like way higher in disguise.
Cruz,
She's like a
3-star
5-star.
Cruz shoots far above her rarity.
I like to call 3-star Cruz like the Ushiwakamaru of Arknights.
Yeah, for sure. I
Oh,
see that.
definitely. Yeah, because she's basically good at everything.
Yeah.
For
No,
those of you who
I
have not
like
played
them.
FGO, Ushiwakamaru is a low-star unit who is very good.
Yes.
Yes.
She's also a great character.
She's very
in general.
good.
She's a very like popular character in the fan base.
Oh, yeah. That too.
It's because she doesn't own a shirt.
It's because she just beheads.
I wish she
everyone, that's
did. It'd be great if she owned a shirt.
Her design is so stupid.
It really
I'm
is.
sorry.
why. How dare?
Look, it's not my fault they decided to just have this random woman not have a shirt. All right? It's not my fault.
Like it was there was a not to derail this completely, but there was like an anniversary CE at one point that gave her a bodysuit under her
Oh my
normal
God.
outfit, and it was a huge upgrade.
She has
Oh
the
my
quick
God, it's
tea in one of the
amazing.
arts as well, which I thought's really cool. Like the
What?
you know, like the green. Do you know, like in is it Oda's Nobu's like summer form? She has the Buster shirt.
Oh
In,
yeah.
like they released it was either a CE or an official art where it was Ushi in the quick shirt, but I don't think.
Oh, yeah, I've
I
seen
haven't
that.
seen that. I'm gonna have to look
My
for that.
God.
Again. Sorry,
I would-
like, moved this off of Arknights.
No, it's fine because it like we could talk about costumes a little bit since we're talking about characters, and
yeah.
I would love to talk about the fact that I would love to have those Buster and Quick shirts as costumes for characters.
Right?
Yep.
God,
Arknights
it'd
does
be so
costumes
good.
better than any other gacha, and why other gachas aren't doing the same thing absolutely baffles me. Like they print money with these costumes because they're so good and they're like so worth the money as well because they're not that much, and they use the same currency that you get from like doing challenge modes. So it's just perfect.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah, it's just the gotcha currency, which you get from doing like everything in the game. It's just the game barfs this currency at you while you're completing events and story.
Yeah, but
And
it's like
it's-
because the way the gacha currency works in Arknights, where it's split into like a random and originium, like it's better
Oh,
to
yeah,
use
yeah.
the challenge mode currency. They encourage you to use it on costumes because the conversion rate isn't good, which I just think it rewards people for doing like the harder content rather than just like asking them to summon more.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with that.
agree.
Because yeah, like using premium currency on gacha is like the worst feeling.
It is.
I just
Because like
don't
a
do it.
10 roll is 2 costumes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, a 10 roll is 2
Yeah, it's-
costumes.
It's like a
That's-
15 OP and an
sucks.
18 OP. It's 33 for a
Yeah.
10 roll.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
And the costumes are straight fire.
Oh.
Oh
they
yeah.
really
There are. I would argue there are no bad costumes.
I
No, I can't
suddenly
think of
want to
any.
prove you wrong.
The only thing I think
know.
about costumes is that the base designs on a lot of the units are so cool that, like, while the costumes are also cool, I think if you thought of the base costume as like a new release costume, you prefer it that way. If that makes any sense.
I understand that.
I wish there were some situations where, like, okay, I want to keep the E2 splash art, but I want to use the sprite from the costume, or vice versa. Like, I wish I could mix and match. That's what I would like to do.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be very, very cool.
Because
I would love that.
some costumes, I like the sprites more, and some costumes, I like the OG sprite more, but I like the costume art more. So, yeah, it would be really nice to be able to mix and match.
Oh yeah. Is there any other characters we want to talk about that we didn't talk about? I guess we didn't really talk about Amiya, other than that I like her design.
I think she's a really...
Or the Doctor.
She's a really good token, like, companion, I like to say. Because, like, you know, in all these gacha games, you got, like, the MC, and then their companion. Like, you got MASH and FGO, and etc.
Those companions in gacha games, with the exception of, like, Genshin, or in my experience...
What's wrong with Amber?
Is Amber the equivalent? I never really thought of it that way.
I don't think Genshin really has.
Genshin doesn't really have
Paimon
one. I was
follows that
thinking
role,
of
doesn't
Paimon.
she?
I mean, Genshin uses Paimon as the like companion character, but
Nobody likes
Paimon. Amber feels like the role in the gacha unit. Like,
I guess so.
first,
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
technically the Traveler would be that character.
Yeah,
I'd even say
Traveler's
Noelle
the
because she's on the
closest.
starter banner.
Yeah.
I don't think...
I don't know. I like
I have
Amber.
a question
I think we
for-
can leave it at there's no close parallel for Genshin.
Yeah.
But like an
Well,
FGO
Genshin
at
falls
least.
outside.
Yeah, Genshin's
Yeah,
kind
like-
of a weird...
Genshin's so far outside like the normal gacha, like
Yeah, I hate
ecosystem.
dragging
It's so
Genshin
hard
in because it's not a gacha.
Yeah.
It's not your typical gacha game, so I don't like to compare.
Yeah,
but I was just
that's
trying
fair.
to
It's
find
really hard.
an Almia equivalent because I like Almia better than I like any other equivalent in other gacha games. I just really like her as a
Yeah,
character.
leading
just
on
really
from
like
that,
that-
I was going to
yeah.
ask Gary, MASH or Amiya?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a rough question because like I have both of them like fully maxed out basically in both games. I really like Mash's design. Like but I really like I'm interested to see because I don't know Amiya's full story yet because Mash has kind of already had her like full character arc, so I know where she ends up.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because I actually think MASH had a really cool start in, like, the first few, like, part 1 for FGO, but I think she's been done dirty in recent times by, like, Losangle or whatever you want to call him. She just hasn't had anything happen for a long time, and it's just like,
Well,
this is it then, isn't it?
she had her character arc already. Like she had, like, because she was the main character for part 1. We were just along for the ride.
I mean, sure. It's just
Which
like,
is
And
what
so-
what I was,
but it's not like
gonna
she
say
went away.
is That character, a lot of
Right.
times, in FGO and Arknights at least, they have turned out to be the actual main character, right?
Yeah. Well, like I don't know, Arknights
part
is-
1 at least.
Of yeah,
FGO.
yeah. Part 1 of FGO, I would say Mash is definitely like the main character, and Fujimaru is just kind of doing what they
I didn't
are
pay
doing.
attention to either of them because Ramona exists, but
Fair enough. Where Amiya, I don't want to say what happens at the end of chapter 7 because Nick hasn't gotten there yet, but like, they've got me hooked. I need to see where this develops.
yeah.
I absolutely, positively need to see what the actual hell they're going with because the end of chapter 7 is insane.
I don't even remember what happens in chapter 7, it was so long ago. Is it the Frost Nova
It's-
chapter?
No, it's the chapter after Frost Nova.
That doesn't help me.
I have not gotten there yet. So
Where are you?
Nick,
Where's it set?
The Ursus core.
Yeah, it's
Or
in the Ursus
Chernobog
core.
rather.
Or the
Okay,
Chernobog
I think-
core, yeah,
I think
yeah.
I know that one. Okay, yeah, you haven't got to the good
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
yet,
yeah.
then.
Yeah, I just had a very, very scary boss fight. And then I did Dark Knight's
Is it one
Memoir.
that damages like a lot of their units around it? Is it that boss?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
It's a Patriot.
The one that Shark was molding over.
Okay, you
forever?
know it's Patriot. Yeah, it's Patriot.
Okay, never mind. That's fine. Then it's not the one I was thinking of.
Oh, okay. Well, oh
Picture is
god,
cool,
that's
though.
terrifying.
I think you might be thinking of the Chapter 8 boss.
Yeah, I think I am. The one that Shark
Maybe.
just absolutely was moulding forever over.
Yeah. But
My point
yeah,
for the Mash
you
Amiya
fight
thing was, I
Patriot.
actually think Amiya has a higher ceiling to her character than Mash. Like, I think Mash, like, she finished her story and it was good, but like Amiya's, the further you get, the more depth you realize there actually is to Amiya's character, and it's actually like ridiculous how far they're actually taking it.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited to see the anime tackle the Frost Nova arc,
We're all
for
gonna
lack of a
suffer.
better term. Oh yeah, because like we didn't talk about the anime like aesthetically, but I love the way the art style is changed for the anime. I think the designs in motion look so amazing. But yeah, like I'll agree with that. I think that Amiya can reach a higher high than Mash did, and Mash, like I have a figure of Mash
Yeah.
like on my desk right now. It's like one of the few figures that's actually out because it's impervious to damage from my cats.
She does have high defense.
Yeah, she has very high defense. I also like that Amiya's an attacker as opposed to a defender, even though I turned Mash into a DPS for no reason. And I think she's more active in the gameplay and the story.
She's less of a blank
true.
slate than Mash was to start.
Yeah.
By a
Yeah.
lot.
The doctor as well is actually really interesting. And this is kind of meshing into story, but like the doctor is really interesting because we have like the doctor has amnesia, but there is a lot of canon stuff that happened before we woke up at the beginning of this story, and the more I'm hearing, the more the doctor kind of seems like they were definitely a big jerk.
The Doctor has
Yeah.
really cool, like, it's like drip-fed information throughout the story about their past, which, okay, I'm going to make a bit of a comparison, because Precon has a very similar main character in that they're some, like, amnesiac who doesn't know what's going on, but they actually were heavily involved in the past, but the Precon mystery, like, never felt like an interesting mystery. It was just, oh, look, he knew all these girls before he lost his memory, and they all love him for whatever reason, and now he's lost his memory, they're all
Yeah.
still loving him. Whereas this is, like, obviously Precon's a different, like, genre of game. It's much more, like, happy-go-lucky, whereas Arknights is a lot more serious, but like the Doctor for a character, because a lot of time you get amnesiacs in anime and stuff, it's just like this generic excuse to start from like a blank slate, but his has a purpose, or they have a purpose, rather, because you don't know the gender, that there is a mystery behind it that the story is unraveling slowly.
Yeah, I'm very like every time we hear a little bit more, and Dark, like we got a peek of it in Dark Knight's memoir. Chapter 7 digs into it a little bit, and then I feel like the more Calcit talks. Nick, I know you hate it when Calcit talks.
He talks so
But-
much. It's not my fault, but I hate it.
You ain't alone.
It's fair. But like the more Calcit talks, the more I'm like, what the hell happened?
You get
Yeah,
a good
she-
chunk in Chapter 8, actually.
Yeah.
Huh?
I was saying you get a good chunk of Doctor lore in Chapter 8, so that's something nice to look forward to.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm very excited about that. I'm going to be starting that this week. But yeah, like the Doctor is a very fascinating character. I like their design. I know it's like very. Okay, their anime design is weird because their eyes are way too big.
Their
And
eyes are so
since Zig has pointed it out, I cannot unsee the giant eyes.
It was always going to be difficult to animate a character that is like not really shown during the actual game. It's just
I
a different-
I
yeah.
like their eyes, but they're too big.
They have very cool eyes,
They
but
have
they're
very cool-
gigantic. And now everyone who's listening also can never unsee that.
You're welcome.
Good.
So I guess actually, yeah, let's talk about the I guess the rest of the story. And I really like how the main story, specifically, like you said way, I don't know, about an hour ago, the story kind of starts off very kind of heavy. And a little slow. I mean, the whole first arc, like the prologue arc, is basically just the Amiya trauma hour.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's very slow.
It has Neural
It
and
is
Ace
very
in it,
slow.
though, so it's fine.
It does. It's true. And we do love Neural and Ace. Ace is very cute.
Yes.
That's true. He is.
And I think it does a good job of kind of introducing like the base cast of like Doberman, Amiya, the Doctor, Ace. I miss Ace. And then it kind of sprinkles a few of the antagonists in. Like W literally shows up for 30 seconds for no reason. I completely forgot that we interacted with Mephisto in the prologue until we watched the anime.
That was like a big thing. I
mean, if
Yeah,
anyone
I was like-
remembers our introduction to W, is she fights Flamebringer, of all people, for like 3 story nodes or something like that. But no one ever seems to remember that.
Right.
I didn't remember that.
I didn't remember
when I
that.
read
I
that
just
part of
read it, I
Dark
don't
Knight's
know.
memoir where they talked about that.
Like,
I
literally,
assumed that it was in like his anthology thing.
no, it's like the intro to the game. He just like the first introduction to W is Flamebringer is fighting her during Chernobog. Like, it's just complete. Flamebringer's never mentioned again, even though he's like a core part of like Rhodes Island.
I didn't
Right.
even know that. I didn't even remember that.
Rhodes Island has so many dang units, like so many operators. It's kind of wild, like how many characters we have, like at a time. Every chapter seems like we have another operator coming out of the woodwork.
Well, I will actually say this is the primary complaint I have the way that Arknights structures its story, in that the actual main story, there's not that many operators canonically with Rhodes Island during the chapters, like 1 to 10 or whatever, because it takes place over a couple of months during Chernobog and then a later invasion, which I'll not talk about for spoiler reasons. But all of the side stories and events introduce you to characters who are part of Rhodes Island canonically, just not in the same time period as the main story is set, which is very difficult to get your head around at times.
That is
Yeah,
quite confusing.
like the whole Gavial nonsense is like completely aside from the main story and like doesn't intersect with it at all. And I think, which I first off find hilarious, because the Gavial events are basically just
They're the joke
Gavial gets
events,
drunk
yeah.
and fights things.
They're the joke
That's
events.
the best. Go ahead.
I was just saying, yeah, the Gavial events are just the joke events. I think one of the weird paradox to it is the Near Light in particular, because Nerl in the main story is basically this like defender who is like, you don't really know much about her, but Near Light, the first part of that event, is set before she joins Rhodes Island and she fights in the tournament, and then the second one, the Marie and Earl event or whatever that is set slightly after we are in the main story. It's a very strange pacing where it's hard to get your head around.
I also find it very interesting, because in the main story, in I think it's chapter 6, maybe it might be chapter 7, where Neural is like doing the distraction op with.
It's chapter 7, yeah.
It is chapter 7. She's doing that with Elysium
And Firewatch.
and Firewatch. Amazing. And
I know that because I read it last
she-
night, is the only reason.
Yeah, and she uses abilities of Guard Neural.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, it's the same character, but like, I just found it really interesting that she's using things that we associate with her Guard variant, even though she's the Defender art.
Yeah. Well, the canon lore for Nerl, if I believe, is that she uses the shield infused with light to heal her allies. Because basically, if she used her offense, she's basically like the Artoria in the story, although there actually is an Artoria in the story. Kind of mild spoilers.
Yeah.
She's basically the Artoria in the story, whereas if she used her true power, there wouldn't be a fight because she'd just wreck everyone. She's actually canonically one of the most powerful people, like, in universe, where she like limits herself to healing allies and using a shield to defend her allies. Is
That's
the canon
amazing.
Behind it.
Which I love.
Yeah, I forget. Neural's just better than everyone else. It's a problem.
It is a problem.
But yeah, like, it's just really interesting because like the story, you can really like tackle it however you want, and reading the main story, and then like there's so many side events, and all the side events you can read the story like just whenever you want.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
You can just read story.
best function
Yeah.
in any gacha game ever, you can press the skip button and it gives you a summary of the story that you're skipping. Holy
Oh my
moly,
god,
it's
it's
so good.
so good. The summary is actually like it's just the best feature.
Yeah,
like
you
a
can skip
sentence
the
and a
story,
half,
but
but-
still know what's going on. But then come back and read it in more depth later if you want to. It's so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I experience the story. I know Nick and I were talking. He's like, "Oh no, we'll talk about it on a podcast." But how I experience the story is like I skip, and then I like try to run ahead, and then I go back when I'm in the mood to read, and then I read the story because I can't start reading the story and then get into a fight and then be like, "All right, well, I just exhausted all my brain power reading a half hour
I
of
feel
story. I don't want to do this fight," and then or I do the fight and then I'm like, "Well, now I don't feel like story anymore." And then some days I just feel like sitting down and reading story.
I do events that way. But like I'll read main story as I'm going through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually quite like that kind of breaking it up because it gives you a little time to digest what you just read. Just a little bit, because obviously, like you said, you are using your brain on the stage.
Yeah.
But it gives you a little rest from reading to use your brain in other ways, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to read like the whole chapter in one go. I'll read like
I have a very small brain, Ray. Stop laughing.
Wait till you get to chapter 10 and each story knows like 40 minutes of reading.
Oh my
yeah.
god.
Yeah, the other day
It's so long.
Eric's like,
Every
"Oh, I'm just going to read this," and like an hour later we're still on the first node
I
because we're
need,
still
I need the brain breaks.
Oh my
Every
God,
character
yeah,
turns
it's
into
like-
calcit.
No, Calcit,
Calcit.
stop. Leave me alone,
Chapter
Calcit.
10, the Calcits chapter. I don't know how accurate that is. Is there anything else we want to talk about on the story? Because we've talked about a lot of things. This has been a very scattershot episode, but I'm actually like kind of happy because we've just been kind of talking about the things we want to talk about, and it's been very fun.
yeah.
I guess the fact that the story is also set in a really small, like, as well as it being set in a specific time period, and then like all the side events do other time periods before and after. It's also like geographically quite like different as well. Like the main story has actually only been set in this tiny subset of the continent, and when you do all these other side stories, there's I actually realised that the world is absolutely enormous and full with loads of other stuff, which is quite cool. I actually quite like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is pretty interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and they feed it to you in a good way. Like you're not being overwhelmed with that information, I feel like.
And it kind of like
I think
allows
it's-
them to get like different genres in as well. Like some of the events, like the Abenholz events, kind of like a horror type theme and like Victoria type
I
thing,
love
and then you
that
get
event.
like the Seaborn thing, which is like, what's the word I'm looking for?
A
What's
different
that?
kind of horror thing.
Eldritch.
Eldritch, that's what I was looking for. Thank you. It's like an Eldritch horror, and then you get the Gabrielle event, which is like a comedy, like lighthearted. It just lets you like have different genres, but still not like mess with the game's like main core like themes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I. Go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say I like that the doctor doesn't have to be there for the events.
Yes.
I love that.
Right?
Because in FGO, the main character is always there. In Genshin, obviously, the main character is always there. So I like that they kind of explore other bits of the world without necessarily having the doctor there.
Lets other people take the spotlight.
Yeah. I really like that the main story, at least the main story so far, has taken place it's only been 2 weeks. And like most of the time, like, you know, FGO, we keep coming back to it, but it's a good touchstone for us. Is
Yeah, we all
like
relate.
the first part
Survivors
takes
here.
place over a year. Yeah. But the first part takes place over a year, and then part 2, I have no idea how long part 2 is. And then Genshin's story is canonically also taking quite a few years. So it's just really refreshing to have a story that takes place. It's very condensed.
Yeah.
And yeah, the side events can explore other things. Did we ever talk about IS2?
No.
No.
Nobody talks about the different game modes at all.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about the other game modes at all. They're fine.
The TLDR is Arknights actually introduces content that's different from what it like already has, so you have plenty of different things to do, unlike other games.
And a bunch of them don't cost sanity, which is great.
Exactly.
That's
If I want
something
to play the game,
I
I'm allowed to
both.
play the game. It's cool.
Yeah, I really like, because IS2 is like a roguelike mode, which is another good reason to raise up your units. But like I don't like it.
Have you actually played it that much? Because
I did play some.
No, because I didn't like it.
We're at like level 7.
Yeah, because
I played it recently.
I didn't like it at all until I played it a lot. Like, because I was like, I have to get that phantom skin, so I'm gonna have to play this stupid shit. And so I beat my head against the wall, and then around like level 50, I was starting to enjoy it, and now I really enjoy it. It really took me a long time.
It's a game mode with its own learning curve. You're not going to enjoy it straight away because it's just like you don't know what you're doing, and once you actually start learning the mechanics, it's more fun.
Yeah,
I guess it's fair. I don't know.
To absorb the strategy, then it really takes off in terms of enjoyment because you get to engage with it on a much deeper level than just flailing around.
Yeah,
I guess it's fair. I just feel like I play roguelikes. I like roguelikes. Like I've been mildly obsessed with Noita the last like 4 or 5 days.
Only mildly.
And like that game, like I don't know crap about that game, but like I'm enjoying it like immediately.
I think IS2's problem is, and it's kind of Shark kind of touched on this. It's like, so the more you play it, the easier it gets. And I think that's kind of its core problems. Like, you have to play it a lot before you start getting like the fun like things to pull, like whatever
it's also designed for people who are like further into the game though, isn't it? Because you need a decent selection of units to solve like a selection of problems. You can't just rely on that one overpowered unit on your camp because you just might not get them at the end of the day.
It encourages you to have like low levels raised, because you can make your way through it with like 3 and 4 stars. But a lot of people don't have them built, so
I think that's a good thing for the lifespan of the game though, encouraging you to build a large amount of units.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I do need to give it a better shake. I don't know. It's just another thing.
Yeah, I think
I like that it's there. I like that it's there.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing that it's there. I personally keep bouncing off of it.
Yeah, I think for you, Eric, though, is like you're when you play Arknights, you want to play Arknights, and you have the sanity, so you just play the story, and then by the time you're out of sanity, you're like, okay, I'm done. And then you're like, okay, I don't want to play Arknights again until later. Yeah. So, like, you don't really have that urge to play more. I think IS2 is a nice segue for, like, people who want to play more, but they don't have the sanity and they don't want to spend it. That's, like, my biggest gripe with other gacha games, and why I like Genshin so much, is, like, I can just jump into Genshin and play it. I don't need sanity and stuff. So if I'm feeling in the mood for Arknights,
opinion of Genshin. I have nothing to do in Genshin anymore, like apart from like carry on with the story. My units are all raised. Like, what is there for me to do?
Well, see, I like just the basic gameplay of Genshin. I just like going around gathering materials and just killing things.
I did feel up to a point. It's just like, I don't know. I've kind of like been bouncing off Genshin a bit recently.
I'm kind of feeling, I bounced off it pretty hard recently, and I'm kind of feeling the desire to kind of get back into Genshin and just like explore, and like I do really like the exploration and like trying to like fill out the map and that kind of gameplay, and I think there's enough stuff in the game since the last time I really tackled it that I can like sink my teeth into that again.
That's why it's so casual friendly. No, that's why it's like so casual friendly though. It's like, well, okay, I don't feel like playing, and then the next time you feel like playing, you got lots to do. So
I guess go on.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, I guess also it's like a lot more fun if you do it in multiplayer, and just haven't had the opportunities recently, so that's kind of it too.
Yeah,
that's super valid. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find Genshin multiplayer is like my vastly preferred way of playing it. But like I don't know, I kind of agree. Like I do my sanity, and then I'm like, yeah, all right, that's enough Arknights for me for today. Yeah. And so I'm really glad like these other game modes exist because people really like them. And if I wanted to do like a billion things in Arknights, it's there for me.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I just really like how if an event or a game mode happens, we always have access to it. Mm-hmm. Like, an event will rerun, and then, boom, I always have access to that event. Yeah. Or a game mode comes out, and it's always available. and more gacha games need to do that.
I agree.
Like, could you imagine how fun like FGO could actually be if they just had a like weekly Grail front?
Yeah. I'm trying not hard to just dive into bashing other games because Arknights is better. Where's my Albedo Sword rerun event, please, Genshin?
Yeah.
Oh my
I
god,
think-
Albedo Sword, please.
Listen, I'm a huge Genshin fan, but they really need to bring back events.
I actually watched the CG for that one, like the one where Albedo fights himself / Amber / That's so cool on Eula. I never got to experience that. I was like, why?
So cool. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's that. I loved that. That
I feel
was
like
so
we need
fun.
to bring RayRei on to the next, the final Genshin one.
I'll agree with that.
Anyways.
All right. The next thing I wanted to talk about. Did you know this game's music is just incredible?
Oh, it's so good.
It is so good. I can't believe
I listen to it when I'm driving.
Yeah, it's on my Spotify.
Oh, yeah.
I listen to it all the time.
CC themes just hit too hard.
Right.
Oh my god, they have so many good vocal tracks. Like a bunch of characters have like personal themes. Events have like vocal track themes, and like most of the personal themes I feel like are sung by the characters' VAs. Is that accurate?
I do not
Or are they
know.
just sung?
No idea.
But like they all have lyrics. I don't know who
absolutely
sings
could not
them.
tell you.
I couldn't tell you either, but they sound good and I love them. And like all of the actual like combat music's really good. Map music is actually good. Mm-hmm.
And there's such a wide variety. Like, no matter what kind of music you like, you're gonna find it in Arknights
Yeah.
somewhere.
I like how Silver Ash is just a Disney princess theme.
Wait, really? Wait.
Oh, dude, it's
I haven't heard
actually
it.
incredible.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'll link it to you
Good.
when we're done here.
Okay.
But I don't really have much to say specifically on any part of the soundtrack other than that a lot of people were saying Hyperglyph is a music company that made a gacha game.
Yep, basically. I'm like
Yeah.
the
To
promote
biggest
it.
like music pleb ever. I don't ever remember any music for any games apart from Werewolf of Light from Trails, best music ever. But like Arknights
I'm not far
CC2, Operation Blade, like the
Oh, man,
menu
dude.
music was so fire. Oh
The
my god,
number
it
of
was so
times
good.
that I've listened to specifically Operation Blade in the last week,
So good.
someone stop me, please.
Someone's gonna have to link that to me because I don't know which song that is off the top of my head.
same.
So-
I will put it in the chat.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please, so I can listen to it one more time.
Excellent. But no, I think and a lot of the good character music doesn't.
Oh,
a lot of
wow.
the good character music isn't in the game. You have to go to like their YouTube.
Oh, you had it on speed dial. Oh man.
Oh my god, he's just on top of it.
It's so nice to be able to
Incredible.
open up the YouTube playlist and just listen while I'm at work.
Right.
You know?
Oh yeah. I'm a big fan of it. In general. Anything else we wanted to talk about this game?
Do you want to talk about the base or something like that? I mean, I don't really want to talk
Why,
about it.
why are we
Nothing to do
talking
with
about
it.
beta features?
Yeah, that's in beta. There's like a base you can generate resources.
I hate it.
There are many people who it's very micromanagey if you want it to be.
Yeah, if you don't want it to be, then it produces less, but it's not a big deal because people way oversell how important it is, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it does. If you look at it from one perspective, it kind of falls into the design of patience.
Yes.
And it can
Absolutely.
And yeah, if you don't really interact with it that much, it does produce less. And if you interacted with it more, it's obviously much more efficient. And like we could have people argue all day. I don't think any of us are going to really care about the base that much, which is really why I forgot to bring it up.
Yeah, it's there for player retention, isn't it? It gets you to log in every day, and like, I understand
Yeah.
the way it's done. If it just gave you the mats when you like logged in, then it wouldn't like really feel very interactive. But at the same time, just doing it every day, just it's a chore.
Yeah, but like I don't know. I don't mind it. It's, just keeping track of another set of resources. But yeah, if you don't like the base, then it definitely would be a chore. Real quick, How much do people think about the furniture?
I spent probably 30 minutes yesterday changing one of my dormitories around because I upgraded. So, that much, I guess.
I don't
Wow.
think about it at all. If I get a new set, I'll go in and look and be like, are there any I want to replace with this new set? And then maybe put the new set in and stare at it for about 10 seconds, and then I'm be done with it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, go on.
I was gonna say I have had a pizza place, the rock and roll bar, a cafe, and a bedroom for like a year and a half, and I haven't why would I ever need to change them? They don't do anything.
They look nice.
I like them.
I like
Yeah.
looking at my base sometimes and being like, wow, I'm such a good interior designer, even though it's a lie.
I think it would be cool if they actually gave bonuses to your base. Like if you had like the pizza place, it would like increase the factory production or something like that. But
That would be interesting, but the problem there is it would lock you into the predetermined sets.
Yeah, you'd have like a
instead of
meta
letting you
for it,
design
wouldn't you?
yourself.
Yeah.
Someone would definitely figure out the min-max for it and be like, all right, these are the 4
Oh my
optimal
God.
furniture sets that you can have in your base.
So you know, the
That's
pizza
pretty
place,
sweet.
the
It would
concert
be.
venue, and the Eldritch Horror Museum.
Yeah.
And you do not
Actually,
have a
it
4th
would.
dormitory. You actually tear that down for more energy efficiency.
No, you just have
Oh
like
my God.
55 hot dog stands in a dorm, and it gives you the most maximum amount.
Or more correctly, because you can't tear down dormitories, if you build a 4th one, you lose the game.
I see. I actually just thought about this. It would be really interesting if they gave some sort of benefit to the plaques that you get for like challenge modes, story challenge modes.
Yeah.
Like if they attached them to that, that would actually be interesting, as opposed to individual furniture sets.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree
yeah.
with that.
yeah, I don't know. That would be like, the plaque for beating the Frost Nova challenge mode gives you like better power generation or something. I don't know. Or like you could put them in the power plants and stuff. Putting plaques in those rooms would be really interesting.
That would be nice. Like, even if it didn't
Yeah.
give a mechanical benefit, which
Yeah.
I feel like there's an argument to be made that it shouldn't. Like, that those should just be aesthetic for bragging rights.
I guess it's fair.
On one hand, I've always
I
wanted the
actually agree
base
with
to
that.
have better functionality, but then on the other hand, I'm like, well, I'd have to interact with the base more, then it'd just be even more mature.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
maybe
just
when it
like-
gets out of beta.
You lose either way, don't you?
Yeah, maybe when it
Surely
gets out of
one
beta,
day.
it'll be fun.
Surely one day it will be out of beta.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes.
I'm with RayRei on this. I'm just like,
No, I feel like that's fair. Is there anything else we forgot to talk about that's a major part of this video game? I don't think so.
don't think so.
Just look
Aside
forward to the
from-
later chapters, they're absolute fire.
Yeah, aside from, like,
Yeah.
the gacha, which we don't want to talk about anyway. I don't
Yeah.
think so.
It's better than most, but it's not the best.
I'll agree with that.
The best
Yeah.
would be no gacha system.
Well, the best gacha is
Yes.
still Genshin. I'll die on that hill if I have to. But apart from that,
No, I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
Huh.
I'm not gonna argue with it
nothing
because
beats
it's correct.
perfect. Nothing beats guaranteed pity for 5 stars. Like, there's just nothing beats it at the moment.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
true.
It could be
That-
better,
That
but
is a nice aspect of it. It could be
Yeah.
better because it is a gacha system, and those are
Yes.
like inherently there are issues with them
Yeah.
that you can't solve. But
The weapon system could definitely use.
It's there for whales.
Being
If you wanna
closer
be
to
a
the
whale,
character.
You can get a weapon. You don't need
I guess
to.
it's fair. I guess it's fair.
it was worse. So therefore, I'm glad we don't have weapons in this game. I'm glad it's just characters that we
God.
roll for,
yeah,
and
I
then
was
that's
just thinking
it.
that too.
Yeah.
Like, I like the
Just
simplicity here.
preferences, no weapons,
Yeah, costumes is the only other thing, and you buy those. And that I really
and they're purely
appreciate
aesthetic
that.
as well. So
Yes,
that's
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I appreciate you three for joining me and hanging out with me and talking about Arknights for a couple hours. It was very great to have you. Thank you all for being here.
Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you. It was really
you.
fun.
Yes, and RayRei, especially on short notice, RayRei, for hopping in.
Yeah.
I appreciate you very much.
Yeah.
But that is all the time we have for today. join us next week when I'll talk about something. I don't know. Maybe Felix will be back. Who knows? Anything is possible at this point. He's sick, unfortunately.
I hope he feels better soon.
I do too. So have a good recovery. Nick, I think you're the only one who streams or really does anything. And I think we already told everyone where you are, but if you would like to plug anything.
So you can find me at twitch.tv/Nick_Advent. I mostly play Arknights and FGO. I've done like a couple of Gunpla build streams. I like those. I want to do that again sometime.
I need to go check that VOD. Holy crap! I didn't know you did any.
Oh, it's way old. I don't think that VOD exists anymore.
No.
Therefore, you need to do another one.
Clearly, yeah. I have a kit, so I need to print that out and do that sometime.
Yes.
Nice.
Do it.
Zig, do you have anything you want to plug or?
No, you do not want to find me anywhere. You can find me in Aries stream. That's where you'll find me.
Yay!
Yay!
RayRei?
You can find me very infrequently these days at Aries stream. Apart from that, I'm usually on the Discord hanging around telling people why they're wrong, so yeah.
It's true.
I love being told why I'm wrong.
Yeah, especially
I also love being told when I'm wrong. Anyway,
Only in
thanks
the correct
everyone.
way.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Harry.
Thanks,
Thanks
Aries.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.